Okay, next video. We're talking about the mind, okay? What is the mind? Okay, I touch about this in my video about information, but I wanted to give a video explaining the mind, okay? It's kind of weird, right? Because we have awareness, we have consciousness, we have individualism. If you get two kids in the same environment and you try to make them do almost exactly the same things, they would still more than likely grow up with various degrees of differences, you know? And it's like, well, if the mind is just blank and it's just absorbed information, and what I mean by that, the mind is similar to a computer because a computer is very deterministic. What I mean by that is when you program it to do something, it's really going to do what you program it to. But when you get a more complex mind, it starts to do different things. It starts to ponder, reflect a little bit more, okay? When you have the mind of, let's just say, we don't really know what has a mind or not. We assume physical forms don't have a mind because we truly connect mind with the brain. I'm gonna tell you right now, the brain is not the mind, okay? The brain, I would say, helps you understand and process information. That's all the brain does. Don't confuse the brain with the mind. Don't confuse with. Now, I'm not saying that the brain doesn't help you have certain aspects that think and do certain things. No, yes. The brain helps you understand information and it helps you express information. So the reason why people think the brain is the mind because when we interact with good things, we see the brain does something towards that. We see if someone wants to like a girl and they want to take her on a date, that there's endorphins, there's a rush of adrenaline, your heart gets pounding. The brain has to have some indication or interconnectedness with the mind because we see that people's decisions and mindsets, the brain attempts to focus on them and interact with them, okay? If you're happy, you get endorphins. Fight or flight mode, adrenaline. We see that the brain gives chemicals based upon the interaction of information. I tell you right now, the brain is a receptor, okay? The true mind is interconnected with the brain in terms of brain tries to give the mind what it wants as much as possible. What I mean by that, if I'm hungry, the brain is going to try to process information to tell me how to get food. If I want to live, if I make the decision to live, the brain is going to try to give me possibilities of how to live. So the brain is really good at processing, deciphering, and understanding information. But what information that we hold, what information that we become, the individual we decide to be, that's the mind. The mind is before the brain, and the brain deciphers information to try to help us better mold the mind to our liking. The brain is a tool for us to gain our individualism, for us to understand what we want in life, and how to do all what you would call soul awareness or individual expression. That's all it is. It's not the mind. It is the understander of information. It just helps us understand information, but it's not who we truly are, okay? And this is very confusing, but I tell you, the brain's responses, it's not that the brain responds to something, that you get endorphins, and that's why you think you love this person. No, you love this person, and so the brain has to attempt to physically manifest chemicals so we can respond to it. So it's not that the brain's first and the mind second. The mind is first, and the brain is second. the brain attempts to react and physically create what we are feeling or what we mentally want. And in a sense, all it does is decipher information based upon our intent. That's the brain. And of course, it does obviously way more than that, but in a sense, that's pretty much what it is. It's just a decipher of information to get things done or to get to a certain understanding, okay? So, once you understand that, it's like, okay, let's say I believe that, which, you know, that's what it is. Then you ask yourself, okay, for sure, fine. How do I, and a lot of people I'm going to say this. A lot of people's minds are already pre-programmed. So, if pre-programmed, so I talked about information being predetermined. Well, you know how people say, oh, I don't like Doritos, but I like blueberries. Or I don't like blueberries, but I like strawberries. Why do you like this over this? Or this over this? Because, and I say, I'm just going to make this statement because it makes it a lot easier, is that you do have a soul. And what I mean by that is you have information within your being that's more natural than anything that you interact with in this world. And when you find who you really are, when you understand your true mind, the true nature of who you are, you can start making decisions based upon that and then have your true expression in this world. What do I mean by the mind's pre-programmed? Well, when you're born, you're given a name, you're given a title, you're given a race. You are told what you are, and you are told what's expected of you from people all around you. Okay? This is what pre-programmed mind is. All right? That you didn't get to create your mind. You only became aware of yourself after someone else have created who you are to be. When you have parents telling you, hey, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, you should do this, you should do that. Don't dress like that, and do this, and do that. That other pre-programmed minds are now pre-programming other minds to be exactly like them. So people don't promote critical thinking and self-discovery. They promote conformism and having people think a certain way. And, you know, to me, it's the person's responsibility, it's the individual's responsibility to take control of their own mind, okay? We are smart, intelligent, and amazing organism and species. There is no reason that you should be letting someone else take over your mind. You can take control of it back, okay? But we are definitely pre-programmed. The first understanding is to say that, and you need to understand this, is that, oh yeah, I may call myself Leon, but I'm above that. I may call myself a certain race, but I'm above that. I may call myself 5'10", but I'm above that. I can do things that someone 6'8" could do. You know, if I truly wanted to put the effort, that's what we call soul or spirit expression. It's really just information that is most origin and primal to who you are as an individual, and then you start to choose information in this reality to better suit that. And I have a theory called a hypothesis called the human directive, and I'm gonna make a video about that. But pre-programmed, the mind is pre-programmed in this world, and it doesn't matter if you are born in America, if you're born in Romania, if you're born on isolated culture that's in like the Pacific on an island. Those people that you're born to are being pre-programmed. So you have to understand everyone's being pre-programmed. It's not just America or first, third, second world countries. It's also tribalism. It's also tribes and small sectors of humanity. They're being pre-programmed too. The reason why I wanted to say this is that the mind can be programmed. If you put somebody in a certain area and only teach him about the moon and don't say anything about the sun, as if the sun doesn't exist, period, When he's going to live his life and make decisions based upon the sun not existing. Period. Doesn't matter what you tell him unless you tell him about the sun, of course. But then he experiences it, and he's like, that's the sun. What I mean by that is that if the mind doesn't get the information, it's going to make decisions and beliefs based upon the information around it, because that's all the brain does. It deciphers information, and then the mind itself tries to take on that deciphered information into what it wants to become. Okay? If anybody tells you to be a warrior, even if you're more suited to be something else, you're going to think, I should be a warrior or a fighter. If you live in a family of doctors and everyone tells you you're going to be a doctor, and everyone, friends, families has expectations for you to be a doctor, you're going to hyper focus on that because you're not being encouraged or pushed for anything else. Luckily, we live in a world where information is so dynamic. You can interact with other people and other things, search about them, and make decisions based upon what you really want. That's if you don't let the programming totally consume you. And this is what I want to talk about, is that we live in a world where people are programmed to live a certain life based on expectations, peer pressure, fear mentality, or like, I can't do this because of this, or I can't do this because of this. Stop. If you know yourself to any degree, just getting to know yourself, and you make decisions based upon that, it's not that, if I live like that, I'm not going to be able to get what I really want. It's the other way around. It's that you didn't really want to be rich and famous. You wanted to be free. And if you live in a life according to what you truly are, and that's what you truly want, you will be free. This is why, I say a lot of biblical statements, because I believe Source understands the mind and our existence so well. When it says things like, if you follow your heart, you will live in spirit. You will live with what you're truly meant to be. Because there's information embedded within our souls. That is what we are truly meant to be. And if we can, the difference is we need to create the form of what that is. If let's just say, if a world famous fighter was reborn in this reality, reincarnated, and his spirit is of a fighter, but he became a banker, he's not going to be okay with becoming a banker. And if he could just figure that out and know himself, he could be in the UFC, he could be boxing. Mike Tyson was probably a famous fighter in his past life. If past lives are real, which I believe, and his soul's expression is to be a fighter, that's why he was so good at it. That's why he understood it so well, because it's embedded within his DNA. Sadly, not everybody gets that chance to really become their truest selves, because it takes a lot of work and understanding. But we are pre-programmed. You have to get out the programming of your mind. I'm not saying you can't be a lawyer or you have to go on a farm and get out of society. No, you can be within society. Just know that you are not pre-programmed, that you control the program, that you can be a lawyer, but you don't have to live up to the expectations of anyone else but yourself. And if you truly want to be a lawyer, you be the lawyer that you want to be, not that anyone else wants to be. And whatever path, when you take that, whatever path comes your way, or difficulties or blessings, it was meant for you because you're being who you truly are meant to be. You're becoming your true program rather than have a forced program on you. And the messed up thing about this program is that in all societies, since the Romans, since the Aztecs, Egyptians, is that grand conformity, grand programming makes us be created in a way where we become content with this life. That we say we disregard what we truly are meant to be because we're okay with what we are. This is what the movie The Matrix was about. The movie The Matrix was about, and it was a metaphorical reference of this world. It is to say that, it's a reference, it is just to say that there are people who are programmed to have certain beliefs. Because they have certain beliefs and they don't know who they truly are or what they're capable of, they put themselves in a box. They entrap their own mind. and they say, this is what I am, and I'm nothing more. And yeah, I could do some different things sometimes, but really this is pretty much who I am. This is the reality for me. Good. But some people, even in this reality, in our world, myself included, feel like something's off. They feel like the roles and the program that they have integrated in their being isn't what they're truly meant to do. And they search for something more. This is why Neo felt like this reality was off, because it wasn't what he was truly meant to be. It wasn't his true programming. His true programming was to manipulate the program. That's why if you watch the whole Matrix series, that they always have the one. That means there are different versions of Neo that comes from different realities, but it's always set up for him to become awoken, because that program within his own being is too powerful to be ignored. It's too powerful to not awaken. So he awakens himself using, obviously Morpheus helps him. And it's a metaphorical reference for there's people that we live in a world where we're pre-programmed to believe in certain things and have certain belief systems before we're ready, before we understand what they are. Then we mold our whole mindset around those belief systems, and then we disregard what we truly want for what's acceptable, okay, and comfort. All right? So for you to understand the mind, you need to understand that it can be programmed based upon the information around them. And nobody knows the mind more than you, more than the individual. No one, aside from source, but no other person can tell you what you are. Even if it's a good idea, even if a person says, listen to me, you get $50 million. Well, you may get $50 million, but you may have done it doing it, living your truest self. Or you may not have, because that's not the life for you. It's really that if you were playing in a video game and I made someone be, I don't know, he was just an NPC. And the NPC became aware and said, I don't want to just be an NPC. I want to do more. And he said, no, bro, that's not what you about. But in that NPC's programming, he was really supposed to be the main character. And it's like, and he knew that. And so he broke out of his cycle of programming and became the main character. If you ever seen that movie Free Guy, that's what that show was about. So take control of your mind. Not in a sense disregard everything you've learned, but understand that you are the control of your mind, and all the programming and all the information that you have learned until you awoken to that fact is just a part of you, but it's not who you are. It's just a small part of you, okay? Once you understand that, boom, we can start to move forward. Because your programming system is your awareness. There are different degrees of awareness. When I say awareness, I mean how aware you are to how aware of your relation to the world you are. That's what I mean by awareness. How aware you are of what's going on around you, internally and externally. Okay? That chair, for what we know, a chair doesn't have we don't know what's going on. But like plants, they have awareness. They somewhat know what's going on. And in human beings, we have very good awareness, depth perception. We kind of can see fear or see negative actions taking place upon us. I kind of know if I'm going to fall through my floor or not. Yeah, probably not, you know. Very aware of what's going on. But know this, even though you have awareness to the mind, there are different levels of awareness based upon your intent. If you don't want to become aware and you're content with what you know, you're probably never going to become more aware unless like some outside source helps you. So your awareness is truly based upon also your intent. You have to want to become more aware, okay? But we all have awareness. The mind is absolutely amazing at that. But what you need to understand is that everyone is running, in a sense, on their own belief system. Everyone. No matter what that belief, even if you don't believe in God, you believe in air, you believe in clothes, you believe in everything. So what that means is that this belief system, everyone runs on it, everyone has one. Every human will ultimately integrate the belief system. And that is what they just hold to be true, going through the world, deciphering information with the brain, and then taking on certain aspects of that information into their own being. Oh, when someone encounters, if I encounter a mean person, I'm just going to ignore it and walk away because there's no point for me to engage that. But someone else may want to hurt that person, right? And let's say I see that information, I see someone get knocked out because they're being mean, and I'm like, I can integrate the information into my being and express it when it happens to me, or I cannot. See what I'm saying? That is belief system. The mind will create its own belief system. And sadly, once again, if you predicate your belief system in separation, if you say, I am Tom the lawyer from Minnesota and I like to fish on the weekends. If that is your belief system, if that is your program, because belief system is your program, and you don't want to think of yourself as any other way, your awareness is directly linked to that. That means that you will only become aware in that perspective. You need to know that you have many perspectives, you just haven't got the opportunity to approach them, okay? Boom, bada bing, bada boom. This is the mind, okay? The reason why I want to talk about this is because it's very important to break free from what you've been taught and know that you don't need, people say empty the cup so you can learn. No, you don't need to empty the cup, because the true size of your cup is limitless. You can learn as much as you want. You could be the lawyer, you could be the doctor, you could be the accountant, you could be the adventurer. There is limitless to what you can learn. It's all based upon you, though. If you just want to be the adventurer, you would never know what it's like to be the doctor. See what I'm saying? Okay. So I talked about this a little bit, and we'll move it on. That information, if you want to go look at my information video, it grows more into this. But the mind is connected to information. This is why we get thoughts, ideas, and concepts. These thoughts, ideas, and concepts, mind, information, they're both interconnected. It's like when someone gets ideas, where are these ideas coming from? The mind is connected to information. Information is connected to another dimension. But we talked about that in the information video. But the mind is connected directly to information. So is the brain and the mind. What this means is that we can come up with ideas because our mind is directly connected to information. All right? Now, this is where it gets a little bit scary. What information is the mind connected to? Is it just information about this reality, or does it extend to other realities? Well, this is what's crazy. The mind isn't just connected to information about this reality. That's what's really scary. The mind is connected to all information. What do you mean? What am I talking about? The mind is connected to a dimension where all information exists. That would mean that it's not just information that's being expressed physically that we could see, breathe, or feel, or through our senses. It's information that is not yet being expressed. Possibilities of existence. But all the information is real, so those possibilities aren't possibilities if they're real or not. The possibilities is it able to be expressed in this reality? That's what it is. Boom. This is why we can make fantasy books. I'm gonna say this right now. Nonfiction is information that can be expressed in our reality, in this world. And fiction is information that cannot be expressed in this world on a physical level. Okay? We assume Harry Potter But I'll put it as an example. And a Superman. I love Superman, so I like to always use him as an example. These things, well, people will be like, well, hey, Pastor Man, that's really fictional. Jesus, that maybe could happen, but I'm not sure if I believe that. Probably was just a story. Well, I'm going to ask you a question. If we can read about these characters, how is it fake? It's only fake because they can't be as real as in our minds or in books. They can't be walking around and doing stuff, and Superman can't be flying and saving the day, right? But they're still real. They're real in the sense that, how did we connect to these ideas? How did these ideas even come to existence? Why are they in our mind to begin with? Because these are real stories, real things happening right now, real interconnectedness. These are other realities happening, regardless if it's in another reality, another dimension, or just in our minds. But our minds are connected to other realities. How do we know this? Because we fantasize about other worlds that are different than our own. The only reason that we can even think of them is because they have to be real in a certain way. What I mean by that, you couldn't think of it if it wasn't real in a certain sense. The only question is, how real is it? And what we're really asking is it physically being expressed, or is it being expressed only within a physical expressible form? That's the only question. Yeah, we don't know that. I haven't been to the reality of Superman, so I don't really know. But I will say, any information that you can perceive has to be real, or you wouldn't be able to perceive it in the first place. This is once again what God meant, where he created all things seen and unseen. Even ideas, concepts, and thoughts that may not be real in this reality could be real in another reality, I think is real, but we cannot travel to it or be expressed in this reality as of yet. Sarah, as of yet. So, know that. The fact that we make stories, mythologies like the Norse mythology and Zeus, the Greek mythology and stuff like that, is because all these realities are really happening in other realms of existence. Regardless if it's the physical realm or not, it's happening. We take in that information and try to recreate it in this world so we better can understand it. And then people just put characteristics towards that. But once again, I'm going to tell you this. You would ask, well, was Zeus really a god? Well, when a person thought of a god, somehow it was Zeus. And somehow it was 1, 2, and 3. So yes, anything you think of is real. Anything you think of is real, really happening, and a real possibility. Because all information truly exists. Okay? So when you make the world about Harry Potter, you didn't just make the world. You didn't just create the world. No, all information already exists. So you discovered the world of Harry Potter, and then you took that information and put it in this world. And you would say, well, how is that possible? Because people can edit things. People can change the story. So what does that mean? Yes, and now I'm about to say it, the multiverse theory. And I'll make a video among this, the multiverse theory. Any story you make, if you change it, all you did was create a different form of it. But it's all the same form of the story. These forms of things extend past the physical form of a chair and starts to go to the form of fate, destiny, stories, idea, time, realities. There's so many complex forms beyond our comprehension. And stories are one form, a form of experience of reality. And yes, you could change it because multiverse theory, there are so many different forms of that reality being expressed. All forms, actually. All decisions are being expressed. It's just what perspective are you seeing that form take hand? If you're in the world where Harry Potter dies in the first book, well, you don't get to see second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. But if you live in a world where it got to the second one, you know that's true because you live in a world that got to the second one. Okay? It's really conceptual and hard to kind of fathom, but just think that everything is happening right now. And all minds are connected to it. And we have to be really careful because the mind is really fragile. You know, it's really fragile in the sense that if you meditate, or if you take drugs, or if you do something to kind of loosen your mind in a certain sense, your intent is connected to your mind. So if you want to think about a God, and then, you know, I'm doing it right now, right? And I think about something called Siren, the god of ocean and storms. What the heck is, I've never heard of anyone like that. I don't know. If I look it up, it probably is not real. But I can write that down, Siren, the god of storms. I'm seeing right now blue hair, beard, long hair, tattoo of a snake going down right here. You know, shark tattoos and stuff like that. Right now in my mind. How am I getting such a vivid creation? Why? It's not that I just started to create and say, oh, I want to have tattoos, I want to do this. No. I just started to think of a God, think of Siren, the god of ocean and storms, and then all these ideas about what he can be start appearing. Why? Because I'm not creating that information, I'm discovering that information. And then if I choose to put that God into this world, I'll just have to write about it, get other people to write about it. But by the way, as soon as I thought of it, it's already here. So, bada bing, bada boom, be careful. Also, information is alive. And how is it alive with the mind? Once again, it's a concept I'm dropping, guys. But I'm about to talk about something. I'm going to talk about how we have the divine power of creation. I'm going to talk about the power of human beings later because I want to talk about some other stuff. But divine power of creation. What information we put power behind, or perception, or knowledge, we also have an ability. This is a human ability. We can bring information alive. We can create. We are creators. So when you think about something, an idea or a concept, you are giving it power, but even if you don't want to. What does that mean? You have the power of creation within your very soul, within your being. When you think of something, you give that information power, but you don't have no control over it. Why? Because you don't create the information, you discover it. If I think of I don't know, let's just say I think of an octopus that's very evil, right? If I'm seriously putting intent and power, but I'm not putting any power behind it because I don't want that in my mind. But if I truly put power to think of it and try to visualize it and try to really dive into the ether and get that idea and pull that idea out, well, that idea has nowhere to go but my mind. No one else knows of this in my mind. And when I do that, and if I really believe in it, I give it more power. And this is, you have to be careful of this power because you can create it conceptually within your mind, but you may not be able to create it physically. And because of this, all you're really doing is you're not creating it, you're pretty much allowing it to come into your mind. Another thing I want to talk about is your mind is a dimension. Your mind is a personal dimension. By the way, it's a personal dimension where you allow certain pieces of information to coexist there and also interact with each other and mutate. Own dimension. If you didn't have a certain piece of information there, yeah, because someone else had it in their dimension. If someone tells me, hey bro, did you watch that movie? I didn't watch that movie yet. So all the information that movie can give me, I don't have yet. It's only in that guy's dimension. But as soon as I watch it, I put it in my dimension. Be careful of what information you put in your dimension because you have the power of creation. You can create without knowing it. What do I mean by this? The true meaning is that you hear a lot of schizophrenics or people who say things like, oh, I'm hearing voices. What is, I don't get, it's telling me to do this and do that. Well, what you did was allowed an entity, a living piece of information. All information is alive in various forms. But if you think of something humanoid, if you think of, let's just say you think of, I don't know, you think of a character that's very demonic or very bad, right? And obviously, if that person in your mind could speak, what would it speak? Negative things. So when and since information is alive and you're connected to that realm of all information, when you think of it, you are creating a gateway for that information into your mind. And now it's in your mind, it's not like you can just forget about it, right? You know of it. So now it's now using your power without you aware of it for that idea to come to life. But it can only reside in your mind. And now you're stuck. Because if people aren't aware of this, they get voices by certain entities, aspects, or ideas that have came to life using the power of all creation, telling us to do things that we may not want to do. But you have to understand, you are not that entity, you are not that voice. That voice is something that you connected to, and that is now within your realm, and now can speak using your power of creation. So that's why, I'm just going to say this, that is why God said the devil only has as much power as you give him. That whatever devil or entity that you fear, it only has as much power as you put into it. Because it has to use your power to manifest itself into this reality around you and use it. That's why if you don't really believe in it, it can't even affect you. Because it won't be able to get into your mind. Once it's in your mind, it's within your being, like possession. And it can use your power to create itself. That's why you see people who go through negative information in this world, and if they can personify information to the devil or to negative entities, they give that specific negative entity strength. And I'm going to say this, like gluttony. If you could personify gluttony into an actual idea that can speak, we have an obesity problem in America. We can kind of see a person who's overran by gluttony, and we would kind of say, yeah, my mind always wants to eat, always wants food. That could be an idea that came to life, and now it's telling that person to eat because gluttony and various forms of gluttony is telling that person what to do. So the mind is powerful. It's connected to the realm of ideas. It has awareness depending upon your awareness. You in prison, you have full control of your mind, and if you imprison your own mind, then it's over. Then to think a certain way, and you don't want to think outside that box, you're lowering your perception. And it's based around beliefs. But also, we have the power of creation. So when you think of something, you're not just thinking of it. When you read, be careful. Because this is what I would, and I'm going to end it here though, and this is what I would say. Because I say a lot of stuff, I kind of ramble and just talk, but I try to keep it generally around the same idea, is that what you believe molds your being. The information you put into yourself gets expressed with your action, your words, your concepts, your ideas, and how you move. Meaning that you may think you're a physical body moving. No. Your information physically expressing yourself through the mechanism of human form. That's it. If you want to be an angry person, you are being a person, you are being a physical body expressing anger. So you are becoming the personified form of anger. So our body are blank canvases, and our ideas and beliefs start to take form, and we express those things. So be careful what you want, what you believe, and what information you want integrated within your being. Because even if you want to or not, that information will start to mold you. Be careful. We'll connect to other realms of existence. So what you read and think about, you bring to life. Now, I'm not saying don't watch, read, or do certain things, but it depends, can you take it? I myself can read a lot of negative stuff, and I love scary movies and stuff like that. But someone who can't take that stuff, that information, you may watch a movie about scary aliens, and then you create in your mind a version of those aliens. And then because you start looking more about aliens and know, oh, they can speak, then this idea you had in your mind starts to think and starts to talk to you. Because you connected to the idea of that alien, it came into your mind. It's a humanoid form, so you know that the idea you're connecting to, if it was personified in reality, it would be able to speak. So it's speaking just to you. in your mind, because the idea can speak, because that's the idea that you are creating within your own being. Be careful. You are connected, your mind connects to other realms of existence and other entities and characters that may not be from this realm. But because your mind can extend to other realms of existence, you bring those ideas and those concepts to life. And we see this by stories, fictional stories, mythologies, and stuff like that, which really nothing is fictional. So be careful. Be careful to take control of your mind, to focus on what you want integrated, to be careful of what you focus on, because you may bring something to life that can take total control of your mind. You may bring something in this reality that you can't do it and it's too strong for you. Be careful. I'm going to talk more about that. And your beliefs directly mold who you are. So be careful what you honestly, you can't really choose what you believe in, but be careful, because you might not be ready to believe in stuff. I know there was a show called Evil, right? And there's this main character who kind of he wants to be a priest, but he kind of doesn't really believe in all David. His name's David Acoustic. He doesn't believe in all the stuff in the Bible, but he believes in some stuff. He doesn't really believe in demons and stuff, right? But the more he reads about the Bible and experiences, he actually in the show encountered a demon. What? Why don't we have other people encountering demons? The difference is he truly started to believe in it. Because he believed in it, he has the power of creation. He will create it within his mind. And also, if there's any possibility of him encountering a real demon, if there are any in this world, he would probably be, his power of creation, his mind, will attempt to bend reality to give him that possibility, and he will encounter it regardless if he wants to or not. Be careful. All right, thank you for watching. Praise Source, the divine creator of all. If you have any ideas, comments, if you like the video, comment, subscribe. Boom.